Okay, hello everyone. Today I've got a good friend of mine, Chong Shi. For those of you that get on the Global Awakening, I always mention the people behind that platform are very humble. Well, this is the guy. You get to know him. He's a Gemini. He loves asking questions and being asked questions, same as me. So we'll try and keep this under 10 hours or so. But welcome, Chong. Thanks for your time, brother, and everything that you do.
No, thank you, man. It's appreciate your time and our relationship and the journey that we're on together.
Absolutely. So, just as a little background, I just want to set a bit of a base for people to get to know who you are. You've obviously created a financial freedom for yourself. Have you always been, what's your background? Did you come from a wealthy family? How did you get into trading?
Starting with some really good questions already, mate. Yeah, my background is originally I was born in China and moved here with my mother and my father when I was 8. So I basically grew up in Sydney, Australia. So very assimilated, feel on the inside like an Aussie. I still very much appreciate the Chinese culture and everything. And so, but I feel like my childhood was quite difficult, trying to find myself in a different world, learning a different language and trying to fit in. And, you know, when we're young, we're still trying to figure out who we are, and also learning another language. And so it was pretty difficult. But, you know, thinking back, I realized I wanted to be a trader in high school, which is super rare. You know, I think observing, you know, other people around me just to find a direction that early I'm so grateful for that. And how that happened was I was just sitting in the library and looking at a random chart of a stock market. It was a company, a QBE or something. And for some reason, I just realized that looking at the chart, if I knew that the chart was going to go from, let's say, from here to there, I realized that I could sit there, click a mouse and make an infinite amount of money appear. And I thought that was just like magic. Like, why wouldn't I, you know, use this way to make money? And then, you know, years passed and slowly started to realize that doing that, I was actually using my mind to make money rather than time, which again was an amazing idea. So I really fell into this path of becoming a profitable trader, or dreaming of becoming a profitable trader very early, and was on that path all the way until when I was 23 years old. Prior to 23, it was just experimentation, doing courses, going to uni, quitting uni, working part-time, trading myself, making mistakes and losing money. And from 23, I started trading professionally at a proprietary trading firm in Sydney, trading traditional futures like, you know, FX futures, commodities, bond index, equity index futures, bonds. And I did that for 7 years. And that was, you know, one of the, I can say one of the most difficult periods of my life, but I was so young. And how difficult is life when you're that young and you're just partying and enjoying life and whatnot. So it was difficult because it took a lot of resilience to keep going, even though I just kept losing money and making mistakes. But yeah, I learned a lot about myself. And that's when I got into mindfulness, meditation, and understanding how the mind works, because that was the key to becoming a good trader. Is the mindset, is understanding how the mind works, and awareness, aware of our own thoughts and emotions. And so that was a, you know, amazing journey. And as a bonus, the meditation, you know, also made me a better person, which is, you know, a lot more important than making money, in my opinion. But yeah, in 2017 came and I saw a chart of Bitcoin. And I was like, wow, this is a clean chart. It looks like I can make money from this market. And I tried trading that for 2 weeks, and literally I was like, this is not right. Like how easy it was to make money, and I was all in. So I shifted all my trading, my time, direction from traditional markets to crypto, to Bitcoin. And was trading that with the proprietary trading firm in Sydney as well. They, at that same time, they shifted their attention from traditional markets to Bitcoin as well. And that really paid off for them as well. So, the bigger picture is, Bitcoin changed my life because I started trading this market and was just able to make so much more than what I used to make in traditional markets. And I doubled down my risk, my time, was working like 12, 15 hours a day, because I just knew that this opportunity was a life-changing one. And, we don't get too many life-changing opportunities in our life. And when we do get one, I've got the experience to know we need to grab it with both hands and leave no stone unturned. And that's what I did. And so that was October 2017, was the middle of the second last bull market, when it went from 1,000 to 20,000. Sort of rode that cycle up, but I had no idea the significance of Bitcoin in that first 6 months. It was just more me trading and feeling the euphoria from making so much money so quickly, and then allowing, my family to move somewhere nicer, and, my mum having to not work. And so just, super grateful for everything Bitcoin has given me. And 3.5 years later, that was so last year, I really did some reflection on, how best should I spend my life and my time in the most, like, how do I make my life the most meaningful? How do I spend my time and my money? And, through many years of experimentation, of like trying different ways to help people and solve problems, or helping people solving problems, firstly, is a passion of mine. I think you as well, Nick. I think we definitely share that, just always wanting to help and make a positive impact on the people around us in the world. And, as a young kid, like, I didn't really know exactly how to do it. So I tried many things, organizing events, DJing, coaching, giving advice, getting people to do yoga, like all these things. And, definitely learn a lot from all those experiences. But the key realization, I think, was around when I met you as well, Nick. I just realized that the most impact that I can make externally, outside of, growing internally and spiritually myself, is actually helping other people, the people that are ready to create more awareness in their lives, more consciousness, more love and connection. And meditation is one of those things that I think we can use at a scale that can really change the world in a big way, because, it's free to meditate, it's free to breathe. So, I just use my entrepreneurial mindset, problem solving mindset. And I realized trying to get the next person to learn how to meditate will get closer and closer. The cost of getting the next person to meditate will get closer to zero, because, first principles, it is free to do something like that. And that's when, we started talking about the idea of really getting many people to meditate at the same time globally, millions of people, and really changing the frequency from that level. But around that time, really started to strategize how to change the world and create a more loving, kind, sustainable world for our kids and their kids. And what I realized is that we need leaders who are more conscious and aware, right? The most powerful 10 to 20,000 people in the world, they basically determine the direction of the world because they have the power and the money and the control and the reach, and they create the systems, they create the products and the services and the brands. So my strategy and vision is to really create a generation that is more conscious and aware. And when they become the future leaders of the world, then they will make decisions from a much higher level of consciousness and make decisions from a place of love rather than fear. And that's kind of like a 30 to 40 year roadmap where we start with the kids now and get mindfulness and meditation into the schools, into the curriculum, and then deep into the culture. And then basically people will grow up with, a daily mindfulness practice. And then when they become CEOs, billionaires, presidents, celebrities, influencers, they are leading the world in a much conscious and sustainable direction. So I realized that I kind of went off track and started talking about this, I guess, the passion and the purpose that drives what I do with everything on the commercial side. But I think it's very relevant, starting with a why, I guess. And so, yeah, and last year I really got clear about this mission, and I thought, and basically removed my limiting beliefs. And I said, I know what $100,000 can do when you donate this, but what if we can throw $100 million at this mission? What would that do? What would the world look like after that? And that's when, when I imagined that, I was like, I have to try.
Have you, because I know you love unpacking things. That's one thing I've noticed about you. You love stripping things down to their base. And I'm sorry to jump in, but have you unpacked or seen what that would look like, throwing 100 million plus at something like that?
I feel like because the impact is infinite, as in when we change consciousness at that level, it's so hard to imagine the infinite possibilities that you can create in the world. But I just feel and know that it's going to be a better place. Mm-hmm. And I can just feel more kindness. Yeah, exactly. And that's what, I feel it in my body. And it's just like even if we have a 20% chance of this happening, I'm all in, let's give it a go. But to answer your question, it definitely would be organizations of not-for-profit and for-profit in all the major countries and cities in the world where there is a go-to business or not-for-profit organization for schools to come to if they're interested in bringing mindfulness and meditation into their classrooms, online, in person, to the teachers, the parents, and the students. That tool, I would say the infrastructure, 100% will be there with that amount of resources.
I think what it was the Dalai Lama. Did you ever hear the Dalai Lama's quote? If every 8-year-old on the planet was introduced to meditation, we would eliminate violence in one generation. So yeah, I think it's awesome. You've shared a lot there, though. I would like to unpack it and possibly just go back a little bit. I would like to, because I heard you share a story on the Twitter call, which I was really inspired when I heard it. It was a beautiful story. Can we just touch on some of the mistakes you'd made early on in trading?
Yeah, I would love to.
And also some of the lessons you learned and where that's taken you now.
I think many lessons that I've learned and my growth as a human being, as a person, as a trader, definitely have come from these shocking experiences while it happened. Many times I'll maybe call it liquidated or lost everything that I've made over, let's say, the last week or month, literally in 30 seconds or 1 minute, because I was trading either irresponsibly, or I was making a mistake, or I was trading a strategy that was just taking too much risk. And, you know, the details of that, the strategy is not important, but it's just the experience of feeling those emotions in the moment and after, and in learning how to manage those emotions. And one example is, you know, there was a period of time where I kept making the same mistake. And
how old are you around this time?
I was in London, living there for like 15 months, and I was trading from there, and I was 27, 28. Yep. And I kept, you know, making similar or perceived mistakes, but I kept losing money. And every time it happened, I could feel anger, frustration, regret, and it actually caused me to revenge trade. So one medium-sized mistake could lead to the emotions, and then those emotions would trigger me to make the next mistake. And it was just a very tough journey experience in the moment to deal with, because I didn't have the right mindset, the tools to have the awareness of what was actually happening. And what was happening is, one mistake is fine, everyone makes mistakes, but letting that mistake affect the present moment. So letting the past affect the present moment, being the next trade that I make, or this trade that I make, is almost a worse mistake than the first mistake. And that's just the lack of awareness and understanding. Well, that's past, let it go, and let's start from zero, and pretend that never happened. Well, not pretend that never happened, but just to not let the emotions of the past affect my current decisions. And I think, to answer your question, that lesson is so relevant to not just trading, right, but to life. Like, to, let's say, you know, we have an experience at work, you know, maybe we made a mistake, or maybe it was some type of challenging experience, and we bring that past back home, and then we make another mistake of speaking to our partners in a certain way. It's kind of like a similar thing, and that second reaction, or the second event, created a negative outcome because of us not letting go of the past. You know, whether the past like is 3 seconds ago, or a few hours ago, or 10 years ago, it's still the past. And that's definitely one experience that, you know, taught me a lot about being present, and, you know, how the mind works, and being a better person. But there's so many, you know, other examples I would love to go into, like maybe another time. But yeah, that was one that came to my mind just then.
Before we just go on to the next bit out, because one of my questions was how has mindfulness affected your trading? But I think you sort of answered it in there. But in Buddhism, the Buddha taught about 2 wounds. So the first wound is like an analogy of an arrow hitting you. But the second wound is like whatever mistake you make. The second wound is letting the past mistake, dwelling on it. And that's more painful. It's like putting a second arrow in the same hole. But one thing I wanted to ask you as well is maybe share the insight that you shared on that last call of how you the lesson you learned from losing money in those techniques. Yeah, because I thought that was lovely.
Yeah, I think that that's also a relevant experience where many times I got liquidated where I lost a lot of money in a very quick period of time. And the last time that happened, I lost about $100,000, which was about everything that I made for, I think a few months or something like that at the time. And in that moment, it was like I was in shock. It just took time for my body and my mind to accept what had just happened. And going through my mind, it's like, wow, I have to use another month or however many months to get that money back. And what about all this time that's wasted? And the mind keeps going. And it was such a heavy feeling. And at that time, I had already had quite a lot of experience with dealing these situations because I was already 31 to have lost, a lot of money in previous experiences. But this one was, one of the biggest. But I applied everything that I learned, and I said, well, I can sit here and dwell on this and to regret and frustrate and be angry, but then that I'm not really helping myself. So in the moment, I just thought, okay, why did this happen? Like, it's something that's happened, and everything that happened is meant to happen. So first, let's accept that it was meant to happen. Then why was it meant to happen? And the thought process was, well, it was meant to happen because I simply was not good enough so that this mistake did not happen. And that's basically the market giving me feedback. You need to be better. And I took that feedback on, and I thought, okay, that's true. Because if I was really good enough, then it wouldn't have happened. And it's quite simple. And I thought, wow, okay, then what's the lesson? And the lesson was simply stop trading this strategy that kept putting me into this position where I'm risking everything in the account. I need to take responsibility for everything that I do as a trader, every single click, every single buy or sell. And if I'm clicking there and putting myself into this position, well, I need to change something. And then the simple answer is, now I need to stop doing this strategy that put myself into this position. And if I do, then I will cut out this possibility in my business, in my trading career. And that was the decision that I made. And ever since then, I've never been liquidated. And I think what's more relevant is that I turned a very shocking, difficult experience. I turned it around using a different story that I told myself, flipping it 180 degrees and seeing why it was meant to happen and how it could serve me. And now looking at it from that perspective, how it could serve me is if I do learn from this event and become a better trader, then this event is actually a positive experience for me, because the lesson that I learned from it could potentially save me millions in the future. Then therefore, this event is a positive outcome. So turning
Also,
around.
I'm so sorry, but another thing that you mentioned, and what I heard you when you were sharing with the other group, was one of the insights you got was that, and I'm sorry if I'm coming in because I thought you were nearly finished, but you were saying how one of the insights you got was, if you don't fix this, you won't be able to trade with other people's finances as well. So this was obviously a big growth so that you can take on more responsibility in trading. Is that right?
Yeah. Percent. Like now looking back, like if I didn't have that experience and I didn't fix that part of my business, then no way that I would be able to handle, an account of millions of dollars. But back then, I don't think I had that much awareness and forward thinking to think that, if I fix this, then I can manage like millions of dollars in the future. I think it was more just like, how do I feel better? How do I just handle this experience in a better way? But 100%, like now looking back, that was a key lesson that I needed to learn to be able to handle now account that's millions of dollars and eventually now about to manage other people's money. You know, it's a very serious responsibility. And I believe everything that I've experienced in my life has led me to, you know, where I am now, is to take the next step, is to play a bigger game, and now not just do it for myself, but use the technology, use my gifts, use my experience to help create financial freedom for other people as well.
Okay, so let's go down that road. But one more question before we go down there. Do you think it's important to actually experience losing everything as like a humble to humble someone?
The quick answer is yes, but you know, you need the right mindset to, you know, I don't really know how someone would handle it if they didn't have the right support and the right foundation. It's a different.
I heard a beautiful interview with a guy who was a trader, and he'd been a multi-millionaire, massive ego, you know, went to all the best restaurants, so on and so forth, lost everything, ended up becoming a waiter in the restaurants where he used to wine and dine, and then made his money again. Okay, he's multi-millionaire again. And he said he prefers to do business with people who have lost everything and made it back again. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I really agree with him. I agree.
So just going back to I heard you mention then more relying on technology. Do you want to explain a little bit about that in terms of trading and how you trade now?
For the majority of my life, I traded using my fingers. Like, I'll click the mouse, a buy and a sell. And my edge and my strategy is purely based on chart patterns that I see on a chart. I will look for highs and lows and patterns. And I've been basically staring at charts since I was a teenager. And that's, you know, that's an amazing skill that I've developed over the years. And it's basically pattern recognition. So when we look at something for so long, we start to see patterns in it. And for me, it's patterns in the chart. For other people, it may be patterns in human behavior, or patterns in music, or patterns in business, or patterns in, you know, in acting. You know, there's patterns even in, you know, meditation, and, you know, the way
nature,
this literally is everywhere. And that's the fascinating thing. And that's why I feel like trading for me is kind of what martial arts was for Bruce Lee, where he was able to use a certain, a certain vertical, and to go super deep down to the first principles of that, and then use that as wisdom to learn about life. And I feel like for me, trading, understanding mindset, patterns has taught me everything about business, and not everything, but like, it's given me the foundation for what I'm doing now. But going back to your question, so my edge is on the chart. It's using pattern recognition, and I wait for certain setups and situations on the chart when the buyers and the sellers are feeling and thinking certain things, and I would buy at a certain price, I would put a stop loss in, and I put a profit target in. And based on many different patterns, I had different strategies, and I just simply wait. And I did that for most of my life. And what I decided to do last year is finally decided to, I would say, accept that technology and algorithms is going to play a big part in my own trading and in the fund. Because it's there, and it's a tool, right? Just like everything else, you know, crypto is a tool, meditation is a tool. It's not good or bad. It's how we use it, right? So I looked into how algorithms can really help me to become more profitable, and I've been working with developers to code all my strategies that I've used for the last 12 years into code, quantify the strategies, turn it into, I guess, an algorithm,
So this is your own software fundamentally?
Yeah, this is my own.
And is your pattern recognition from what you've inherently, obviously, is your dharma in many ways, is that unique to you, Chong?
I would say pattern recognition, the idea is not unique. I believe many people in the world are doing it subconsciously and consciously.
But I mean, for you to get a software made up for the algorithms to work off your patterns, is that unique to you?
Or yeah,
100%.
Okay, 100%. Awesome. Like awesome. I'm literally working with developers, and they're on the team. They're part of the fund. We're literally writing each line of code from scratch, and the logic of it. The strategies that I'm trading, the general style, I believe other people are trading something similar, but the exact entry and exit is most likely unique to me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're building this for 12 months, just turning the strategies, the systematic strategies that are already in my head into the code. And then after that, we find the variables to the strategy. Maybe there are 2 to 6 variables in each strategy, and we would optimize using the algorithm which combinations of the strategies of the variables create the best outcome. So which set of rules, if we apply it to past data, it can give us the best outcome historically. And then what we do is then we take data that's outside of the sample data, so the data that we didn't optimize with, and then we run the same set of rules for the data that's outside of that optimization period and see, do we get results as expected as the optimization period, so that we make sure that the strategy is not curve fitted. It's just, let's say, we've made up 5 different rules, curve fitted to a bunch of data, and historically, that gives us really good results. But then the future may be different. So to solve that problem, we use historical data and out of sample data.
And is that ready to go, Chong? Have you finished that software?
The algorithm right now is being tested using my own money live in the crypto space, in the centralized exchanges running right now.
So that other investors can actually see what you're doing?
I can publish the results to my personal account, no problems. Yep. The fund itself actually went live yesterday.
Okay.
So
congratulations.
I've just deposited my own money into the fund yesterday, and then we're going to start making sure that the strategy is doing what it's meant to do, and all the back end, the front end, everything is working smoothly. Once that's tested and everything, then we'll go live and start trading external money, friends and families, and whoever else that would like us to sort of manage their wealth. And I think, did I answer your question about the algorithm side using technology? So yeah, we use algorithms and AI to optimize all of the strategy. We use Python and Java as a coding language, and obviously we're trading crypto, which is technology in itself. And the crypto space has obviously been life-changing for me. Crypto currencies. Yep.
I'm so sorry. When you say crypto, though, you are talking about Bitcoin. You never really got interested in some of the altcoins and the DeFi space, did you?
Yeah, that's a big part of our business right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of this, just to maybe give some context. So crypto includes, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins, but all of this sits on the technology called blockchain. Yeah. And the first, application of blockchain was Bitcoin. And that was 2009, 2010, after the GFC. A group of people or someone saw what the central banks were doing, and sort of as a reaction to trust being broken at a societal level, they created a decentralized currency, Bitcoin, to solve that problem. And now 12 years later, that small seed being, lines of code, a white paper coming from one small group of people or one person, now has, I just see it like a tree, like it's like such a small seed, and then it turns into such a huge, tree that's
Forest.
Exactly, right. And then it's like life, everywhere. And that's exactly what it's turned into. First it was Bitcoin, which is a currency, which is the best store of value in the world right now because it can't be diluted like the other fiat currencies. And then we had Ethereum, and then that's kind of like more applicable for solving real problems and not just being a store of value. And then we had like the ICO boom where there's all these altcoins. And then we had the DeFi phase where we're using blockchain but using blockchain to replace certain applications and businesses that exist in the finance space. And that's why they call it decentralized finance. So it's DeFi. And then came along the NFT phase, Web3, now they call it, in the metaverse and gaming, blockchain games. And slowly, this is going to disrupt every single industry in the world, just like the internet has, just like social media has, just like the iPhone has. So we're really early in this space, 12 years. Really the mainstream part of this movement started in 2017. So we're still super early. And I believe the adoption of this technology is only going to increase, just like internet did, just like social media did. I think it's very easy to get, fear of missing out in this space,
and also fear of not getting in the space because you don't know enough about it.
Exactly. That's exactly. So fear in general, I guess. Yeah. But it's, my advice would be, it's good to taste and to experiment without putting much money at risk, right? It's just always, it doesn't hurt to spend a few dollars to $100 to taste something and to learn. And that's always the best approach. And I was kind of lucky to see the opportunity as a trader, and then that turned into 3 hours on YouTube on a weekend. And then just obviously 4.5 years later, here we are. So so I think maybe there are a certain percentage of the audience that maybe still not sure about the importance of crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and NFTs in the world, and also in for their lives. Then there's no rush or there's pressure, and just taste, buy an NFT, buy a little bit of Bitcoin, have the experience with the product in person. So like transfer money to a friend that's across the other side of the world in 30 seconds and have it cost you 29 cents. Like that is mind-blowing. When I first did that, it's like, wow.
I remember you reached out to me, which was very kind, and I really appreciated it when I was traveling, spreading the benefits of collective meditation. And you offered to teach me how to trade, but at the time it just wasn't right. And then you fundamentally said to me, if for the situation that you're in, the advice I give is don't worry what the market's doing, just accumulate Bitcoin. Now, even that was probably 2 years ago. Do you still think that's a good tip for people? Because a lot of people I speak to who don't really know the space, they sort of think, oh, it's had its moments, it's dipped again. But anybody that I listen to knows the space, they're still saying that if you got into Bitcoin when it was $250 a Bitcoin, and now it's at whatever it's at, however many thousand it's at now, that that opportunity still exists to make that amount of money or even more. Would you agree with that?
General approach is still the same, but I think before anyone makes any material investment in an asset, they should definitely do their own research, do your 5 to 10 hours on YouTube at a minimum, learn about, watch your YouTube videos with Michael Saylor and all these amazing people that are talking about Bitcoin. And then once you feel comfortable about what it is that you're actually buying, then maybe you start to accumulate a little bit, but never put more money in than you're willing to lose. I would say, don't do anything shorter than 12 months. I think even 12 months is like really short, to be honest. Depending on where the cycle is, like if we just started a bull market, maybe 12 months could be a okay time frame. But if we're not just starting a bull market, maybe we're in a bear market like we are right now, I would suggest a time frame of 2 to 5 years would be a nice time frame to work with, and just put money in that you can afford to lose and you don't need to touch for another 3 to 5 years. That would be my approach.
Why do you feel Bitcoin is the greatest store of value right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Without getting in too deep into the technology, the simple reason is that it cannot be diluted. So there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever. Right now, there's about 18 to 19 million out in the world in the supply, and every 10 minutes, I think 6.25 Bitcoins is being mined or added into the supply. And when it gets to 21 million, that's out in the world, and that's it. And there is no other currency in the world that has a limited supply. So I like to simplify things. And when you just visualize over here, there's a pile of 21 million Bitcoins, right, on the left. And then over here, there's a pool of fiat currencies, being US dollar, Australian dollar, Chinese yuan, or whatever. And it's just constantly growing infinitely because of inflation, because of printing of money by the central banks. So this pool is just getting infinitely bigger. And then this pool is just not moving, 21 million. And then all the people in the world are holding this fiat currency, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and the population is growing. And they're looking over here at these 21 million. It's like, when does it become if you speed up time, right? When you just look at it, it sort of becomes like fighting over these 21 millions almost, because if the amount of wealth is constantly growing at an infinite pace, and that wealth is looking at a limited supply of Bitcoin, well,
one's coming down in value, one's going up in value.
That, as well as just the simple human nature of, missing out on something that's scarce, right? And when I visualize that in my mind, I'm like, well, that's what the last 12 years has been about. Yes, there are huge fluctuations of like 80 to 90% drop from the high. I think 4 times now or something. Every time we've gone back through the high and done another 10x or so. So the key is to really use a long time frame and to put money in that you can afford to lose, and you can handle maximum, like a huge amount of drawdown, that you're not going to be emotionally affected much, and you're not going to lose sleep, and your mental health is not going to be affected. And I think done responsibly, 100%, this is a good store of value for some of your money. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but this is what I'm currently doing, and what many other people are doing, and some of the best fund managers in the world, some of the best macro fund managers in the world who's been managing billions of dollars for many years. They're saying the same thing.
Yeah, because I did hear you say once as well how when you look at the space, you feel that Bitcoin, because of how long it's been around already and that it has survived however many drops in the market, that it is, in your opinion, a safe investment. Would you still agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think Bitcoin is probably the only cryptocurrency that exists that I would say is not an experiment anymore.
Yeah.
And why I say that is that the code, the software, the blockchain, it does not need to advance anymore for it to work, for it to continue working. It's done. So that's why changes and advancements in that code has been taken very, very, very slowly, because it's already a finished product. All it needs to do is be digital gold, to be the best store of value in the world. And that's all it needs to be. So it's no more experimentation, it's done. So it can just exist in its current state. But the other coins like Ethereum, they're still doing updates. You know, the merge is just about to happen. You know, they're still changing the technology in a very big way. Going from as a proof of work to proof of stake. It's literally changing how the currency exists, how it's been supported to exist on the internet. And that's a huge change. So all of these are still experiments. And with experiments come with volatility and opportunity. And that's why I'm in the space, because of the volatility and the opportunity. But yeah, that's where the difference between Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins come in.
One of the questions from a friend of mine was, I know it's quite a general question, but do you think that cryptocurrencies will eventually be the trading of humanity for the future? The trading tool?
Cryptocurrencies be...
Do you think it will ever outdo fiat currency?
I think central banks have already taken steps towards converting the fiat currency into digital forms.
Yeah.
So like a central bank digital currency. So the pattern of things becoming digital, so physical, digital, analog, physical, digital, that's a very reliable one. I think it's just happened for a long time now in everywhere we see. So for it to happen for our money, I think it makes a lot of sense. Not saying good or bad, but just saying that direction and just the reality of the trend. I think that's where it's going. So eventually, yeah, all currency will be digital. But if the question is about, you know, will, let's say, Bitcoin be the reserve currency of the world or something like that, you know, I don't know. I think cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, will coexist with fiat currency. I don't think either or one of them would die or replace the other. It would just sort of coexist in parallel.
So I want to just hit you with a few questions on the actual 369C platform that you've started, which is your investment platform. But before I do, just a little question on, because one thing I like about the space is how many millionaires are being created who wouldn't usually be millionaires and multimillionaires, and how you feel about that. I mean, do you think that that's a good thing? And do you think it's important, while these are digital assets, to fundamentally use them to bring them into the real world and you know, change your life, and whether it's with property or whatever?
Try not to be biased, but I like the idea of more young people, more nerds, more creative people people that may not have the chance to be able to make millions and now are able to. I like that idea. Yeah. I do like that idea, and I think it probably has a net positive effect. Obviously, there's good and bad within all of that, but I think the effect is net positive, and I do see a lot of impact-driven, purpose-driven individuals, millionaires, billionaires that, for example, the CEO of FTX, one of the, I think, second probably most successful exchange in the world, he's just said that his thing is just trying to make as much money as possible and give it all away. And, this is real. Like, this is like hundreds of millions of dollars being given away, billions of dollars that will be given away. And, it's my goal to articulate what we want to do with the meditation to these people and get access to those resources, and then try to solve one of the biggest problems in the world.
One thing I like, which I've just noticed of you, is also, and I'd like to share any stories you want, is how your relationship to money, because I noticed that you don't waste money. You look at the rich dad, poor dad, and a lot of like the poor mindsets is they get money and they spend it straight away. I've noticed that you're very, you can share whatever you want, but it seems to be like a respect there for money, and you don't waste money. Obviously, you've got a big purpose and a big plan. But what's your relationship to money in general?
I think most of my life, my relationship was mixed. I was very bad at saving money before the age of 30, because I just really appreciated experiences, what experiences money could buy, the feelings, and it was just so difficult to save. But then, when I think two things came together was, one, I was just so busy trading that I didn't have time to spend money. And then also the amount that I made, it just made it much easier to save. But I think from an energetic level, I did make a shift because I realized like I'd never saved any money because of probably how I perceive money and how important it is. And it's kind of like a 360, I went from thinking money was not the most important, money was not important, because I always thought, like relationships and experiences and feelings were important. So I didn't think money was important. But then, my master and my mentor, slowly from my own experiences, I was just kept spending it and I wasn't keeping it. And that relationship with money probably created that reality. And then I realized, oh, wait, money is so important. We can actually love money. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as, we want to use it, with the right intentions in the right way. And then I started to appreciate and respect money more. And I think that would have made a big difference. So, yeah, I think, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I was just asking really what is your relationship to money? But I want to go into the fund a little bit more now. So the platform is called 369C. Is that right?
Yep.
So what makes this platform different from other investment platforms? And what I've found is a lot of friends that I know, or people that if I ever get in a conversation about crypto, and I'm not somebody who's like an advocate for crypto, but I just don't seem to get in these conversations. And I've been presented with a number of different, almost like network marketing setups in the crypto space, or I don't know whether you've heard of the Hyperverse.
I'm aware of these type of businesses.
Yeah. So, I mean, when, if I've ever spoke about your platform, some people who are on the crypto space have been approached with this type of investment. What's the difference between what you're doing and what they are?
think there's so many different types of structures and businesses and, ways of managing money and getting people to invest. So the number of differences are many, but then also there are similarities. But I think the biggest difference is I'm coming to this opportunity from the perspective of how do we change the world? Because if I was just to think about myself, then I don't need to take this much risk and put myself into these uncomfortable positions and manage other people's money, because I simply don't need to. If I was simply just think about myself, but now I have this clear vision of getting hundreds of millions of dollars for the world and to change the world, and just tapping into just my natural tendency to want to help people. It just made perfect sense to play the game at a much bigger level and to manage hundreds of millions of dollars, change people's lives while I'm at it, and then also use the profits to create some big change in the world. So the intention behind the business, I would say, is the biggest difference between most other businesses or ideas or funds out there. From a more strategic perspective, strategy, I would say there are a lot of funds that are trading strategies that are like long, short, in and out, within seconds, within minutes, within hours and days, and same as mine. So the type of fund is not unique, but I would say my intentions behind it is very unique. And the strategies, the specific strategies that I use is not strategies that I would go on the internet and buy an algo and then just use it. It actually comes from my personal experience of trading these strategies over the 12 years and knowing that, yes, they actually work from a experiential perspective. And then now I turn these strategies into code and allow the computer to trade these strategies for me. So theoretically and practically, it should do a lot better than I can do, because I can only trade, let's say, 1 or 2 or 3 markets at the same time before my awareness becomes too spread too thin. Yeah. But the algorithm can trade infinite number of markets at the same time, infinite strategies, and 24/7. So it takes trading trading business to another level. And so, but to come back to your question, the other difference between what I'm doing and these, I guess, MLM businesses is that, there's no MLM aspect to it. It's just a very simple fund structure. The investors, they simply send the money to either the bank account or our crypto wallet, and in return, they receive shares in a BVI company, British Virgin Island company. Mm-hmm. And then the value of the shares will fluctuate depending on the net asset value of the fund. And that's how they get exposure to the value of their investment. And then, whenever they want to withdraw their investment, the reverse happens. We'll send the USD or the AUD or the crypto back to their wallet or their bank account. So
can we just break down what it would look like? Just because, I know how people will be watching this, friends of mine. So it's for serious investors. It's a minimum buy-in of 100,000 AUD or USD.
You make it sound like it's a poker game. Minimum buy-in.
Minimum investment.
Poker game.
Yeah. Is it AUD?
Yeah, no, it's we're pricing everything in USD because it's a BVI fund. But the fund manager, which is my business, is a Australian company. So the actual structure of this business is that the actual fund is a BVI company, and the fund manager, which is the company that I own, is an Australian company, and we manage that fund. We have a fund investment management agreement with that fund. And then the way we make money is by taking the management fee and the performance fee from that fund. But, you know, we can obviously send the deck and the information to all of that. It will be explained very clearly in that.
Yeah. So you said before we came on and started recording this, you said you don't suggest people putting in the majority of their savings into this, because obviously with any investment, you've got to be prepared to lose it. But let's say, you know, people did get more information, it just felt right and they wanted to go for it. Is it possible to have like maybe a family that all pool together and have an account?
About the company, or so we can only take money from sophisticated investors.
Yep.
And there are usually 3 rules to classify someone as a sophisticated investor. So one is having a net income of $250,000 each year for the last 2 years.
Yep.
And an accountant can write that letter. The other one is having net asset value of $2.5 million Australian dollar. And then the third one is making an investment of over $500,000. So we're only allowed to take money from sophisticated investors because of our license.
Yeah.
Our Australian Financial Service license is able to provide advice and these type of products to sophisticated investors only. Yeah. And the minimum investment is 100,000 USD. But I think if they are a sophisticated investor, we may be able to change that minimum amount to a little bit lower. I think there is some leeway there, but yeah. So this is really for, you know, a certain type of investor. It's definitely not for everyone. There are other things that I'm doing in the Web3 space that I'm trying to create something for everyone, for the masses. But yeah, we can talk about that in another call. And but yes, so back to what you were saying about, you know, not putting all of your net wealth into this. You know, I'm very aware of the responsibility that I have, you know, when I'm managing other people's money, and I simply just do not want to take the responsibility of managing someone's life savings, and that's all their money that they have. It's just too heavy, you know, for me to want to take that responsibility. You know, I'm in the business of trying to create financial freedom for people, but I don't want to be in the business of someone gambling. Yeah. And to me, putting all of their eggs in that one basket in crypto in this way is, you know, into the gambling realm, and we would not take that money from that investor.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Ideally, you know, you've got your property, you know, you've got your shares, and then now you have some money that you want to diversify and, or, you know, have some higher risk, higher return allocation, then 100%, I think would love to help.
And do you want to talk a little bit about, because even with this investment fund as well, there is a percentage that's going to the Love Out Loud Foundation.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
The Love Out Loud Foundation is the charity that I'm a director of, and this is the charity that we're using to get the meditation to the schools and do all that impact work. And what's the word? Well, we have decided that we're going to donate 3.69% of our net profits each year to this foundation. And that's just a beginning, because, you know, the reason why we're doing this is for that anyway, but we need to get this business to a certain level, and then we can really play a big part in this mission. So to start with, it's going to be 3.69% of the net profits to this charity. And then I believe when we get to 369 million in assets under management, that's when I'll change it to donating 36.9% of the net profit to this charity.
So just for anyone that's watching this that, you know, is a serious investor, likes the idea of it, and likes what you've said so far, how are you planning on, are you planning on trading within 369 for a period of time and then showing them that? Or if someone wants to jump in right now, have you got anything that you can show them?
Yeah. So we have, firstly, my results as a personal individual trader, but these results have been collected over time where I never thought I was going to manage other people's money. So it's not like audited and it's not that organized, but the numbers are there. And, you know, if people want to see my tax return, that's 100%. I can show people that if that's what they want to see. And then the next level is the back testing that we've done with these algorithms, the strategies. That's in the pitch deck, and that's all available there. And then it will be, you know, live testing with the strategies now, which I'm currently doing. And hopefully the next 6 months now trading live, we'll be able to show the result that's very similar to the back testing, and that will be the foundation of an amazing business.
And it's nice for people to know that, I mean, it's the same as anything, you know, you go and shop at a not-for-profit, or you go and shop at a restaurant and 10% of their money goes to local charities and things like that. I know there's a in Sydney, you've got Grilled. I think they give like a percentage of their net worth to local charities. So it always feels nice going there. So it's nice to think that your investment that you're putting in is going to a good cause. But you don't have to answer this question, but do you want to share with just some of the viewers what you've earned, like what your net worth is? Yeah, sure.
I probably won't say my net worth just in case the tax office is on the call. But
get off.
And then do a reconciliation. So I started my trading journey when I was 23, and from 23 to 30 years old, I basically made enough money to equivalent of a nice salary. So never really enough to change my life. But then I could afford to move to London, which was amazing. But then as soon as I started trading Bitcoin, I literally started with an account of $1,000 to test the market. And then literally that $1,000 turned into 30 Bitcoins in 3 months. And, you know, I grew that account to 8 figures over the next 3 to 3.5 years.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, like that, just most of that was trading in and out. Some of that was investing in Bitcoin. So leaving my profits in Bitcoin and riding in that bull market in 2020, 2021. And so yeah, like most of my money has come from Bitcoin and trading. So, you know, my story is not the only story. There's millions of stories out there how people have created a lot of freedom for themselves using crypto. And I guess that's why I was like, oh, you know, it's very easy to be FOMO because you hear so many stories out there. But also the other side is, yeah, like it's good to taste, it's good to experiment and learn and see what this new technology is really about, and look at it with the open mind. Nice.
Well, I think we should start wrapping up now, because we said before we started that we're going to save your Momi business, which is Web3, for another interview if you're keen. And I think that's a good idea, because I think it's good to maybe plan how we would put that across to people. But just before we do that, do you think that the Momi platform is going to open up a lot more opportunities for people who maybe can't get into 369?
Yeah, 100%. The Momi is a Web3 startup, and we're playing in the realm of NFTs, digital collectibles, and Web3. And what that startup is doing is we're helping brands and creators to take their audience in Web 2 or the existing social media space and take them into Web 3. So really using NFTs to create more connection between the fans and the brands and the creators, and allowing the fans to really own a part of their meaning, a part of their IP. So then it's like a two-way relationship. So now the brands and creators can monetize using these NFTs and sell them to the community. And then like in return, the community now own a part of the meaning of the brand and get exposure to the upside of the brand or a creator. And being the brand that we're using to provide this technology and the service to these brands and creators, we will have some interesting NFTs that people can purchase and be part of our community and to really receive the value that we're creating. And the Momi side of things is super interesting. I think definitely we need another call.
But I want to ask you, like in another call, I want to get really into that, like what inspired you about that space, because when we met a few weeks ago, we were sitting down having something to eat. When I was hitting you with questions on the Momi front, my creative juices were just going crazy, because I don't understand that space, but I just really saw the opportunity for anyone that is creative, because I think I may have even heard it on Joe Rogan or something like that. I think he gave years ago like a statistic that it was like 17% or something like that of the population actually earning a living from being creative. And I think right now is a great time to be creative. I think we as humans, we are a creative species. And not resisted. I'm open to anything, but I didn't like the idea of the metaverse. And I'm not saying I do now. I think, as you say, technology is neutral. It can be used for good or bad. And I think, those that are trying to use it for the bad are trying to steer it in a way that's detrimental to humankind. But when I was speaking to you, I was really seeing the creative opportunities there. So I'd love to I'm just sharing this now because hopefully it sets up people wanting to watch the second interview on that space and on Momi. But just to wrap up, Chong, if you've got any, you want to give out how people can get in touch with you in terms of the 369C platform, and any final message that you think we missed or you want to share with anybody, now's the time to let it out.
Or, email is perfect. My social media is perfect. So Chong at 369c.io. You can reach me there. Or my Instagram is Chong Shi 369.
So Chong is CHONGSHI.
Yeah,
yep.
CHONGSHI 369. And that's my Instagram. You can reach me there, or LinkedIn. On there as well. Twitter, I'm not on much, but starting to be.
And you love meeting people as well. You really want to keep growing your network. So if anybody's watching this and wants to reach out for an interview or anything like that, you're open to that, aren't you, Chong?
Yeah, 100%. I love meeting great people. I love meeting like-minded people. Especially love meeting impact-driven, purpose-driven people who are passionate about helping people, solving problems, and helping steering the world in a better direction. Definitely always keen to meet.
And that's a great opportunity for Momi as well. I mean, I think hopefully we can get the message across in the next one for Momi and inspire people to reach out to people who can collaborate there. But now, just people who have watched this, hopefully that they can put any serious investors your way, and try and grow that. But is there any final messages, Chong? Anything you want to share?
Well, it's a good one. Put me on the spot. Let me think. I think the most important thing, for me if I was to say something, is just coming back to our consciousness, our mental health, just making sure that we create awareness in our lives. And, even if it's just learning how to meditate for 3 minutes a day, just that small change in our lives, 3 minutes every day. I just, if people give that a go, it would make me happy. And I believe it will create a lot of positive impacts in even just 3 minutes, just building that habit, helping kids to breathe and take deep breaths, like I love seeing that. Like I saw my friend, I think he was 3.5, and he was like sitting there and with his eyes closed and trying to learn how to take a deep breath. It just, stuff like that makes me happy. So like I'm on that journey as well, same as you, just being disciplined every day with the practice. So if I was to say something, that would be, so probably one of the most important things I could say, I think.
And just on that note, what did it do for you? What did meditation add to your life?
Well, firstly, it made me a better trader, and then it allowed me to observe emotions and habits and subconscious patterns. So just creating that awareness, and awareness is everything, right? Like when we have the awareness, that's when we actually have choice to make a different decision. So definitely the meditation, it allowed me to take a step back and look at things from another dimension, another level when I need to. So that was huge for me.
Awesome, mate. Well, I want to thank you for who you are. You're a lovely man, very humble man. I wish you all the success in the world. I'm very grateful for what you're doing in the world, and I appreciate your time, and hopefully we can do the second one soon.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you as well, man.
Not a problem.
Hopefully I'll see you soon again.
Yeah, no, look forward to it. It was lovely meeting you.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time, mate. Bye.